Hello everyone, we're Sean,
and Jin.
a bit different Koreans. Today, we want to talk about something that really surprised us during our recent trip to Singapore. Parents are waiting for the elevator with two kids in a stroller, but people don't care and just try to get on first. You often see people reserving seats at the food court with these little tissues. This is what's happening in Singapore actually. There's a culture here called kiasu, which stems from the fear of losing out, so people really focus on competing. It made us think, how does it compare to Korea?
그렇죠. 한국은 경쟁하면 빼놓을 수 없는 나라잖아요. 싱가포르보다 훨씬 더 심한 부분이 있을 거고요.
Exactly. So today, we're going to explore Korea's competitive culture from various angles, whether it's education, work, or even daily life. Let's dive into what makes Korea such a highly competitive society. Both countries have transformed from resource-poor nations into economic powerhouses by focusing on human capital. This has shaped their intense competitive environments. In many countries, competition is part of life, but in Korea, it feels like it's at the core of everything. After the Korean War in 1953, the country was in ruins, but through education and hard work, Korea rose from the ashes. This success story fueled a culture where constant improvement and competition became the norm, not just in education, but in every aspect of life. Korea's competition is like unwritten rule that everyone must follow, starting from a young age. In Korea, education is seen as the ultimate pathway to success. Students start preparing for college entrance exam years in advance. This exam doesn't just determine which university they'll attend, it can shape their future, securing a stable job, a better marriage prospect, and even higher social status. Jin, do you remember how much we had to study during our school years?
It was really tough.
Same here. At my school, we had to be at school by 7 a.m., go through regular classes all day, and then stay until 11 p.m. for mandatory study sessions.
아, 학교에서 그러면 몇 시간이야? 16시간이나 있는 거잖아. 듣기만 해도 암울하네요. 저는 특히 수능이 가장 부담되고 힘들었던 것 같아요.
수능, college entrance exam. Exactly. In Korea, your entire college future is determined by that one day of exams. If you mess up and don't get into the college you want, you have to study for another year and take the test again. On exam day, students spend the whole day sitting and taking tests in multiple subjects. It's really inhumane, isn't it? The pressure isn't just on students, it's a huge source of stress for parents too.
그죠? 수능 날이 되면 수능 시험장 밖에서 부모님들이 애태우면서 막 대기를 하거든요. 또 종교에 상관없이 많은 부모님들이 자녀가 시험을 잘 볼 수 있도록 수능 기도회를 합니다.
Yes. Parents go through a lot too. To prepare for this exam, so many households spend huge amount of money on private education for their kids. Korea, in fact, spends about $21 billion USD a year on private education alone. That's a crazy amount for a country of nearly 50 million people. So it's not just about the students. The whole family is part of this competition. Here, you see parents lining up early in the morning just to sign their kids up for a specific teacher's class at one of the most famous cram schools in Seoul. Isn't that crazy? And that's not all. In the most competitive school districts in Seoul, parents are paying huge fees for their kids to join special medical school prep classes at cram schools, starting from elementary school, where they're already studying middle and even high school level material. that's even crazier. But the competition doesn't end at school. Once students graduate, they enter another race, this time for jobs. It's not enough to have a degree. Korean job seekers need the perfect resume with internships, certification, and language skills. Jin, is that right?
그럼요. 한국 취업 경쟁이 상당히 치열하죠. 지금은 점점 더 치열해지고 있어요. 우리 때보다. 예를 들어서 제 여동생 얘기를 한번 해볼게요. 제 여동생은 올해 대학교를 졸업하고 지금은 구직 중이에요. 그런데 몇 달째 이스파 시험과 면접에서 좀 탈락을 반복하고 있어요. 당연히 제 여동생의 능력이 부족해서는 전혀 아니라고 생각하거든요. 왜냐하면 얘는 학창시절부터 계속 우수한 성적을 받아왔고 대학교도 한국에서 가장 상위권인 대학교를 졸업했어요. 물론 학교 졸업 성적도 뛰어나고요. 근데 요즘 지원하고 있는 여러 회사에서는 번번이 불합격 통보를 좀 받고 있는 것 같아요. 그러니까 늘 좋은 결과를 내던 제 동생 입장에서는 너무 큰 좌절감이 들겠죠. 저도 대학을 졸업하고 구직하면서 비슷한 시기를 겪었는데 계속 이 탈락과 실패, 불합격을 반복하면 얼마나 자존감이 추락하는지 몰라요. 그러니까 고학력자인 제 여동생조차 이런 어려움을 겪는다면 한국의 대다수 청년들은 얼마나 힘들게 그 취업 경쟁을 뚫어내고 있을까요? 되게 안타까워요.
Yeah, it's true. My sister-in-law is smart and kind, but no company seems to recognize that yet.
저는 가장 문제는 그거라고 생각해요. 수요는 적은데 공급이 많은 거야. 모두가 좋은 연봉을 주는 대기업에 가려고 하는데 반면에 한국의 대기업들은 점점 채용 규모를 줄이고 있기 때문에 특히 신입 영역에서 그러니까 취업 관문이 계속 좁아질 수밖에 없죠.
This constant competition takes a toll. Many students and workers experience burnout, depression, and other mental health issues. In fact, Korea has one of the highest rates of stress, unhappiness, and most of all, suicide in the world. The pressure to succeed is so intense that many feel like they can't escape the race. In recent years, there has been more awareness about mental health in Korea, but the pressure to conform to societal expectations remains strong. Korean society pushes individuals to give their all and strive for maximum excellence. This relentless pursuit has proven effective as seen in the global success of K-pop. Talented young people are either recruited or chosen through auditions, and after going through intensive training, they are turned into a product.
아, 프로듀스 101 같이?
Yeah, exactly. Not only that, despite Korea having a population of just 50 million, the country consistently ranks in the global top 10 at the Olympics. That's the result of elite sports programs. Jin, have you ever felt social pressure living as a Korean?
아, 그럼요. 당연하죠. 그거 있잖아요. 모두가 아는 한국인의 루틴이 있어요. 인생 루틴, 라이프 루틴. 우선 학생이면 공부를 잘해야 돼요. 그래서 좋은 대학에 가야 해요. 자, 좋은 대학에 갔죠? 그러면 좋은 직장에 취업해야 돼요. 좋은 직장에 취업했어? 그러면 좋은 배우자를 만나야 돼요. 그래서 결혼을 잘 해야 하고, 자, 결혼을 했다? 그러면 이제 아이를 가져야 돼요. 그 아이는 또 잘 키우기 위해서 좋은 선별된 유치원이나 학교에 보내야 되죠. 모든 국민이 추구하는 전형적인 루틴이에요.
Definitely. It's never ending, right? That's why we mentioned wanting to escape the hamster wheel in our Quit Korea video. The desire to be successful and live comfortably is a natural human instinct. But in Korea, the way to achieve success feels very standardized, and that's the problem. The culture still doesn't fully embrace the idea of living life in diverse ways. That's why we, as a bit different Koreans, are trying to challenge the norm and show a new way of living and succeeding.
맞아. 여러분, 모두가 같은 방향으로 뛰면 1등부터 꼴등까지 있기 마련이지만 모두가 각자 다른 방향으로 뛰잖아요? 그러면 모두가 1등이 될 수 있어요. 그렇지 않나요?
That's right. It's so right.
네.
In the West, personal success is important, but there's also an emphasis on work-life balance. In Korea, however, the drive for success can feel like an endless race. People are constantly trying to outdo one another, whether it's lining up at the trendiest cafes to get the best Instagram shot or vying for promotions at work. The sense that you must always be ahead is everywhere. Guys, what about where you live? Do you think competition helps people succeed, or does it cause more harm than good? How would you handle living in a society where every aspect of your life feels like a race? In the end, finding a balance between pushing yourself and taking care of your well-being is key, no matter where you are. In the 7 years since the Korean War, Korea has achieved so much. Now, Korea is a wealthy country that no longer needs to push competition the way it did in the past. We live in an era where Korean content and brand image are highly recognized on the global stage. It's time for Korea to become a society that values a variety of skills and talents and to provide the next generation with diverse experiences so they can discover their own unique strengths. We don't need to keep funneling young people into these prestigious universities and good jobs, producing cookie cutter or generic individuals anymore. With that thought, what's Korea's next move going to be? Bye bye. See you in the next video.